welcome to my Flosstube channel, the SABLE Stitcher. If you're new here, SABLE is an acronym for Stash Accumulated Beyond Life Expectancy, and today I'll talk a little bit about why sometimes having a little extra stash on hand is a good thing. But just welcome to my video. Glad to have you viewing again, and you might notice this is a different background than what I usually use. We're actually visiting my son and daughter-in-law in California right now. We have been out of town for the whole week. We started out visiting my older son and his wife and our granddaughter in Colorado. And then on Wednesday, we flew to San Diego, and we're going to spend the rest of the week out here. So this video will be a little different. I filmed part of it back home in Missouri before our trip, so I will insert some things with previous finishes and the items I'll be doing for a drawing today in between my filming here. So I hope it will flow smoothly and all make sense, but I wanted to try to stay on my rotation of filming every 3 weeks and not miss it. So it's going to be a little choppy, but I'll just do the best I can. So thank you for viewing. I appreciate all the comments you left on my previous video. It was really interesting reading about everyone's different stitching rotations, and everyone seems to be finding something that works well for them. We're all a little bit different, so it was just really interesting to see how many are monogamous stitchers, how many have adapted a rotation, and then some people just have a couple of pieces that they switch in and out, and it all works. And as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, it's all good. So that was really fun to read. I appreciate your commenting. Another comment I had was several people said I need to use a microphone, and I appreciate, like I mentioned before, I don't mind comments like that. You're not going to hurt my feelings telling me something that I need to know to make better videos. So I don't have a microphone here. I didn't use one on my previous video portion of this video, but I do have one at home now, and I will start using it on my next one. I just need to read the directions and figure out how to use it. So hopefully the audio will be okay on this one, but just please bear with me as I work through this, and hopefully by my next video I'll be using a microphone and everything will be at the same volume. I know that my intro has been a little bit louder than my speaking portion, so I'll work on that. Anything else I need to know, don't hesitate to let me know. I appreciate comments that help me to do a better job and to make watching my videos easier for you. So thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to insert the video that I filmed at home with my previous finishes here. So first of all, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Farm Girl Gatherings retreat that's coming up and how you can find out more about her retreats. So I wanted to share this pincushion that we made in the first retreat that I went to, and this was in fall of 2019. And Brenda Gervais was the designer at the retreat, and this was one of the things that she gave us. So we put together this little pincushion. We did the pins. She had the little strawberries, and we antiqued the strawberries and put that together and painted the little, I think we painted this. It's been a while now, but I'm pretty sure we painted this. And then you put the pin cushion on, stuffed your pin cushion, sewed it and stuffed it and put it on. And so that's a fun reminder of that retreat. And it's just really, it's a very pretty piece. So I'm very happy about that one. And then one of my other finishes has been back here on my little, my antique crock. I've been resting it against it. This is another Brenda Gervais piece, and this is just a little bunny. I just love the colors in this. This was a very fun stitch. And then I finished it with a little pom-pom trim. I have a little, this is kind of like a, I think it's called a raw linen on the back with a little, and to get very fancy on my, the way I covered the hole that I cut, I could have done something a little nicer, like a little tulip or something. But anyway, that is that piece. And I was looking for the pattern, and I must have passed it along or sold it, but I just really enjoyed stitching that, and I enjoy seeing it every spring. And then another prior finish that I had is this little spring pillow. I believe this is from the Stitcherhood. This is a free pattern. I did not check before I came on here to see if she still has this on her website, but she used to have all these cute little patterns for different seasons, and so that was a free download. And then I'm not sure what the linen was at the time that I used at the time, but it's just another cute little pillow that I like to put out over the spring. And then my final finish is I did manage to finish the AL sampler. This is a design by Hello from Liz Matthews, and it is based on a Pennsylvania Dutch antique that was not fully finished, and she added motifs to finish out the corner that had been left, left undone. And so I am very glad to get this done, and planning to run over to the framer a little bit later today and take it in so I can get it framed and up on my wall. So this was stitched on 40 count angel hair by, I think it was angel hair by Weeks Dye Works with the NPI silks. And so I had, when I was working on the last motif, which was this one, I had posted on Instagram that it looked like a spaceship heart. And Liz actually replied and said, it does look like that or something. But it made me wonder, I thought maybe it was a symbol for the Holy Spirit, or, I thought it was probably some religious symbolism. So I looked it up in this book, and this is a book that I either bought from Kitten Stitcher. If you look at her website from time to time, she will have antique books that she's selling, and it was either from that, or it might have been these antique shows that I go to in Illinois. There's a booth there that a lot of times will have some kind of sampler or needlework related books, and I'll try to always visit that booth and pick one up there. So anyway, so this book has a listing, an alphabetical listing of different sampler motifs. So if you have something, then you can kind of, narrow down what it is. You can look it up. And so I looked up heart, and it has all these different descriptions for all the different kinds of hearts you might see in a, and this is not my handwriting. I mean, this book is not in pristine shape, but it's still in very good shape, and it's really a really useful book. But so, the crowned heart would be fidelity or love, and a heart with a cross and anchor is faith, hope, and love. And as I looked at this one, where's that one? It has little anchors on it. I would guess maybe it's a crowned heart. So I think that's supposed to be a symbolism for faith, hope, and love. And as you look at this, okay. And then I have one more previous finish. This is something that I started just before leaving home, and I finished it on our trip. And this is from Brenda Gervais' book, Keeper of the Pins. And there were a couple of patterns that I wanted to do, and I decided to jump into this because I was in our local Goodwill store, and I saw a piece that I thought would be good for finishing this the way I was thinking about doing it. I didn't end up buying it because it was a Saturday morning. It was just crazy in the store. I waited in line for like 10 minutes and hardly made any progress, so I just put it aside and thought I'd come back later, and so far I haven't come back, but I think I can find something similar if I don't find the exact same piece that I was going to use before. But here is how I finished it. I combined actually 3 patterns. I have the sewing bird pattern here. This is just a line from, she has one of the designs on the pattern is for a little tomato surrounded by the antique buttons, and then the top part was a third pillow. So I combined those 3 designs into this one piece and then just put a little simple border around it. And what I'm thinking about doing is like their grand cat is here. So if you see a tail, that's Gris coming to say hello. So what I'm thinking about doing is, the piece I saw was like a shadow box, and I'm going to do a flat finish on this and then maybe back it with a coordinating fabric in, you know, some of like the teal blue or the gray blue, some kind of a gingham kind of fabric, and put it in the box so it's set back in the box. And I have one of these antique sewing birds. I had just picked it up earlier this year at a local antique shop, and it's like, how do you display that? You know, you don't want to just, I don't want to just have it laying on its side. So what I thought is I'd have my husband put a piece of wood that extends out from the box and clamp the bird on that so that you can see my sewing bird and the little finish here. So that is what my finishing plans are. So now I need to try to find the right size box so I can get that done. One thing I'll mention on this pattern, Brenda's instructions were to use like a double thread, double strand of floss for the wings. I did that and it just didn't stand out very well. She said, like, it's a variegated floss. She said use the darker pieces of the variegated floss to make the wings and a double strand, and I just wasn't happy with how it looked. So I had some MPI that was in a very similar color, and I ended up picking out my original stitching and then using the NPI floss to make it so that the wings would stand out a little more, and I'm happy with the way that turned out. I think that was a good, that color, I was lucky to have that on hand. So that is my finish on this one for now. And then here were the threads with this. So what I did is pretty much everything was things that I already had on hand, except for this DMC 22, which is a new kind of tomato red color. I had to purchase that. The rest I just pulled from existing floss and put it on this little floss card, and so that worked out well for that project. So now I'm going to go on to whips, but I am going to start by just sharing a little bit of information about some upcoming retreats that I've learned about or that I already knew about. One that I just learned about was Acorns and Threads is having an upcoming retreat. I got an email for it because I'm on their mailing list, and a lot of the shops that are hosting retreats, one of the best ways to find out about upcoming retreats is by being on their mailing list and then keeping track of your emails because they fill up quick. So Acorns and Threads has a Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit coming up in September. It's Friday, September 23rd through Sunday, September 25th. And it has the designers there will be Janine McGowan from The Blue Flower and Stephanie Webb from Lindy Stitches. And there's going to be an in-person option and also a Zoom option. So I called the shop this morning, and right now they're full. They do have a waiting list, and I don't know if it's, they said that they have about 100. They're expecting 100 in attendance, and I am not clear if that's 100 between Zoom and in person. You know, a lot of times attendance is limited by how many kits the designers are able to make for the attendees. So, but if that's something you are interested in, I'll link it below, but I would email or call Acorns and Threads. I would call them. I'd call Acorns and Threads and tell them you're interested, and they will put you on the waiting list. And if something opens up, you might have an opportunity to attend the Pacific Northwest Summit this fall. So that sounds like a lot of fun. The other ones, I have two more that I want to mention. One of them is Barefoot Needle Art in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This is not a shop I'm familiar with, but I think one of the viewers had left a comment about it. They are having a mystery stitch along on October 7th through 9th. And again, the attendance is limited to 100 stitchers. They have lunch on Friday and Saturday, and they are not having any designers. It's just kind of a relaxing getaway. It says just relax on the beach and stitch with your friends. And that one is, the cost for that is $160. Again, it's in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And they too are full, but they do have a waiting list. So if that's something you're interested in, I will include that in my show notes below. But that's Barefoot Needle Art is the shop that's hosting that retreat. And then one other retreat that I wanted to mention is Farm Girl Gatherings. And Michelle Rudy, who is Farm Girl, has 2 retreats a year. One is in the spring, one is in the fall. I believe they're all taking place going forward in Amana, Iowa, and in past years. I know they've had some up in Minnesota as well, but I think Amana seems they have a really nice setup for hosting the retreat. There's a lot of really nice shops within walking distance, really cute bed and breakfasts all around there. So I think she's planning, as far as I know, planning to keep holding her retreats in Amana, Iowa going forward. But right now, both of her retreats are full, but I had emailed with Michelle, and she said if you're interested in learning about the retreats or being on the waiting list, there's 2 ways. The way that is most likely to guarantee you a spot is being one of her Patreon members. And I believe she has 2 levels for being a Patreon member, and one is $25 a month. I think the other is $10 a month. She might have discontinued that level. It might be more than that. But you can be a Patreon member, and the Patreon members are the ones who get the first shot at reserving a spot in the fall and spring retreats. After that, if those slots don't get filled or if people back out, then she will notify people who are on her newsletter list. So if you go to her website, farmgirldrygoods.com, at the bottom of every page, she has a place where you can sign up to be part of her newsletter. So if you sign up for a newsletter, and those spots are available, or if you're on a waiting, you might be able to get on the waiting list, or trying to think. I think she might have said she doesn't have a waiting list, just as spots open up, she just sends out an email to people or notifies people through her newsletter, and then the first one to respond is the one who would be, able to claim a spot that opened up. But those are the 2 best ways to find out about her retreats. She has, I believe, both of them are limited to 75 stitchers, and that's because of I would guess because of the event space size. And this coming spring, the retreat that is taking place in May, the designer will be Teresa Kogut, and then the retreat in the fall, it will be Lori Markovic from La Di Da. So if the spring retreat is getting kind of late, I don't know that there'd be any more opportunities to sign up for that one because it's just around the corner in mid-May. But if the fall retreat is something you're interested in and you're not already on her newsletter, I would go to her website and sign up to be part of that newsletter so you can get notifications of any upcoming openings. I will insert some more video that I shot previously with my works in progress here. I wanted to give away 2 patterns this week, or this video, and I will do the drawing for the 2 from my last video when I'm in California. And so the patterns that I'm going to give away this video, I have the Needleworks accoutrement that I just showed you that I got at the Farm Girl Retreat and from Brenda Gervais. So it has the pattern for the pin cushion, and then it also has a little needle roll, what is this? Like a sewing book, I guess, a sewing book on the back. And then all that flame stitch, you do that, you stitch that, that's not fabric. Sorry to keep bumping the table. And so if this is something you would be interested in, put the word bird in the comments. And that's how I will search for the winner for that one. And I have another Brenda Gervais piece, and this is not something that I've done. It was something that I bought several years ago. I've been holding on to. I have seen it finished and it's beautiful, but I just don't think that this is going to be something that I'll get around to stitching. So it's wonderful. It really is a wonderful pattern. I will probably regret passing this on at some point, but if this is something you are interested in, put the word fall in your comments, and I will search for the winner using that word when choose the winner in another, I guess it'll be another 4 weeks from today, but another 3 weeks from when this video comes out. So those are my 2 giveaways for this video. And again, don't say giveaway, don't say win in your comments. You must be 18 or older. And I'm really happy to be sharing these with someone so that someone can stitch and enjoy them. So then let's go on to one of the things I wanted to show you that I was working on, and I showed you this in my last video, and I had just started Tong Uffindell, and you probably looked at my little, I had like a little outline of a flower, and I said, you know, I wanted to finish this, and you probably thought, that poor delusional lady, you know, she's got like, she'll never finish that in her lifetime. But I did plug away on it for about a week of evenings, and that was my progress. I am doing this with the Vicki Clayton Silks, and this is on 40 Count Sand Dunes by Seraphim. So that has been fun. That was another one. Jane Cowie in this one. I have some thread on there. Jane Cowie in this one have been very hard to put down, but I'm sorry I didn't get it ironed before I'm showing it here. But this is almost half a page, so yay! I'm making a little bit of progress on that, and I'm excited to look forward to getting back to that one. But the other thing I would like to get back to, and this happens to be another Jessie and Me design, and this was an exclusive last year through Country Sampler, and this year it was released at Market, and this is Martha Jefferson, and I think I got this in May of last year, so I've had it for a year. I had the tiniest of starts on it, and it's just beautiful. I saw someone in our stitch group just got it framed and brought it in, and the multicolored alphabet, it's just really gorgeous in person. So this is my very small start on that. I think the lettering is over 1, which I don't mind, but I don't mind so far. Maybe if I have to do a whole row of it, I won't be as excited, but I think this is on Weeks Cocoa Linen. And here are the flosses for that. So this is pretty. I haven't really seen too many people showing this from Market, but this is really pretty. I mean, look at those pretty colors. So I want to get back to that one and maybe do that. I probably won't get it finished, but if I could just make a little more progress on that, that would be fun. And then one more piece of haul. I have belonged to the Threads of History Club through Country Sampler and received my 4th Threads of History Club piece this past week, and this is it. It's Ellen Carr by Needlework Press. And I guess I had a note on here saying if you want to continue on, they had mentioned who the designers were for the coming year, and they're all great designers. But I think at this point, even I have enough stash, and I don't know that I, am going to stay in it for another year. So if that's something you're interested in joining, you might want to contact Country Sampler in Spring Green and sign up for their club going forward. I think they change the name every year because it was like the ABC Schoolgirl Samplers, and now it's Threads of History, so I'm not sure what they're going to call it next year. But I know they have some really great designers. I know Blackbird's one of them. I think Needlework Press is staying, and I can't remember who the other 2 are, and I don't have my note on that right now, so sorry about that. But I think this is going to be it for this part of the video, and I will resume filming when we're in California. And then I'm going to share a piece that I just started on my trip. This was one I thought, oh, this is just going to take me a couple days to finish. It didn't look very big on the pattern, but as I'm stitching, it's one of those that's taking me longer than anticipated. And I'm seeing if I have the pattern here. Here it is. This is a PDF download from Stitchy Princess Black on Etsy. There, that's Stitchy Princess Etsy. And this is a Ukrainian designer who is using the proceeds from the sale of her patterns to help, you know, provide food for her family and cat food for her kitty. And so I know it just means a lot to her to see people working on her projects and posting it on Instagram. So it's been calling to me to do it. And I recently saw a video by Kim Goldman, the Contented Stitcher, where she was talking about starting a piece on some ballet slipper linen that she has. And this is, I don't have the, I think this might be Fox and Rabbit, and using some couple of different colored flosses that she had in her stash. And I had the same thing, same colors in my stash, and I didn't have any plans for the ballet slipper. So I asked her if I could steal her idea for these colors and use it on a different pattern. And she was, you know, she said, you don't even have to give me credit, but it was her idea, so I do want to give her credit. And so I'm stitching this pattern using 2 colors of floss, and this is my progress so far. It's just a really sweet, it's kind of a spring design or Easter design, and I'm hoping to finish that up on my trip. The 2 floss colors that I'm using that Kim had suggested is Classic Colorworks Persimmon and Weeks Dye Works Hibiscus. And those work really well together and on this linen. So I am enjoying working on that. And hoping to get that done and finish it into a small pillow. Hi, Chris. Coming over to say hi? You want to say hi? She's not thrilled at being held, but isn't she a pretty girl? Yes, she's a pretty girl, but I'm allergic to hers. So of course she's hanging around me. So let me look at my show notes and see what's next here. Yes, you are just a stinker. Okay. I want, in addition to telling you about those upcoming retreats, I also wanted to mention a little bit about guilds. One of my goals, not used to filming with a cat. One of my goals for this channel is also to share information about cross-stitch guilds, because that's another great way to connect with people. You could connect in person if you have a guild in your area, or you can connect online. A lot of guilds have gone to having a Zoom version or a Zoom option for their members. And so the first guild I joined is the Sampler Guild of the Rockies, and they do have a Zoom option. They have monthly meetings in Denver, Colorado, and but it's worked out really well to also be part of their Zoom meetings, because you know you can be on there with other stitchers ahead of time and show it, you know, just visit with each other or talk about what you're working on. And then you also have an opportunity during the meeting to not only see what people in the room are working on, you can also share whatever you're working on. And they have a large screen TV in the room so that their participants can also see what the Zoom room members are doing. So that's been really fun. The programs that they've offered every month have been really interesting, and this is a good time to know about this guild because they are wrapping up for their fiscal year, I guess you would call it. They run from September. They kind of are on a school schedule, so they start up again in September. Their meetings run through May, and then in the summer they have, I think they have a workshop or a stitch along. They have something going on in the summer where you can get together with other guild members and stitch together. So what else was I going to say about that? I also want to mention they have a book club that meets through the school year. It meets once a month. Right now they have a daytime option and an evening option, and they send you out a list of books in advance, and you read a book on a kind of a stitching related subject. And you know, I mean, it's the ones I've read so far have all been fiction, but and then you get together And this is all by Zoom as far as I know. You get together with the other guild members and discuss the book, and they have like a discussion leader, so that's another fun way to get to know some other stitchers and just, you know, share. A lot of us, you know, love reading in addition to stitching, so that has been a really fun opportunity through their guild. So I will post information on my show notes about how to contact them if you're interested in joining or learning more. I believe it's $40 for the year is the membership cost, and next year will be their 30th year as a guild, so they have some special things planned. They haven't shared yet what that is, but they are trying to get a good count of how many members they'll have in the coming years, so that whatever perks they are providing to their members, they will have enough on hand to share that with all the members. So look that up if that's something you might be interested in learning more about. So one of the other things I wanted to share is when I'm in Colorado visiting my son, I like to stop by Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher's shop. She just opened her shop last fall, and every time I go, she has expanded, you know, patterns and floss and everything. And so I'm going to insert some pictures here of my visit to her shop just to show you some of her finished models and just give you a little flavor of what that shop looks like. Well, sorry. So when I was at her shop, one of the things I wanted to do is I was missing a few pieces of floss that I needed for Sara Allen, 1814. This is a 2022 release by Needlework Press, and Kim Goldman, the Contented Stitcher, and I are starting this sometime in May. We I like this pattern a lot, and she said, do you want to go ahead and get it started? And I said yes, because I'm just starting all the things, and I think this will be a lot of fun. I left the linen choices at home. I was thinking about doing it on Brenda, but now I'm going to do a floss toss when I get home with several different linens that I'm thinking about doing it on and seeing what might work. But here are the colors for that piece. I think they're really pretty. A lot of browns and golds, but also some reds and greens. So I think it's going to be really pretty. It's a Quaker reproduction, and as I mentioned before, this was stained after it was stitched to make it more like the antique. I think there is a little snippet of it before it was stained. So if you like the design but you don't want it to look that muted, you could stitch it and not stain over your stitching. I think it will pop a lot more. So that is what I'm planning to do. I am planning to stitch it on a darker, vintage looking linen, but I don't think I will be staining over it because for one, I don't want to take a chance after doing all that work of messing up, and another, I think it will look fine and without being stained. So that's my plan, and Kim Goldman and I are planning to start that in May sometime, I think. We'll see. We're just, we're kind of winging it. Whenever it works for both of us, I'll keep you advised. So when I was at Sherry's shop, I also picked up a couple of patterns. One of them is, this is a previous release. I'm not sure, well, this was from 2016, so this has been out quite a while. Sarah Redfern by the Scarlet House, and it's just one of those patterns that just kind of has grown on me as I've seen it stitched more and more. Love the honeysuckle border, the basket, and so it's one I've been wanting to pick up, and so when I saw she had it available in her shop, I went ahead and got that one. And then I don't always see a lot of modern folk embroidery patterns, and Sherry has a really nice section of those, and this one I'd be really pretty on a dark green linen with, the cream and light green or teal colored stitching or floss. So pick that one up too. I think that's all I need to say about that. And then I just wanted to, I've never shared with you my method of tracking my stitching, and I use the Book of Days, and again I followed Sherry Colorado Cross Stitcher's suggestion, and I took my Book of Days to my local Office Depot and had it spiral bound and added the plastic cover to protect the paper cover. I added pages in the back where I am posting pictures of my finished pieces on you know, just plain paper that I add some stickers to. And I do like this idea. Last year when I used my book, I posted them in the month they were completed, around the date they were completed, and it is nice. It just adds a sense of accomplishment to have them all posted together, where you can, you know, just really easily see how much you accomplished in the year. So that I'm doing that on that page. And then I added several plastic sleeves, and the gal at Office Depot was just so helpful to go through and find exactly the right kind of plastic sleeves that would work with this book, because I keep spreadsheets of my kitted up projects, and the nice thing about that is, well, one, really gives you a good idea of how much you have kitted up and ready to go. Another one is if you have something you just need a few strands of floss to either complete or to you know, to pull, like for the keeper of the pins, I didn't need to buy a whole card of floss to do, you know, what few stitches I had to do on some of those things. So I was able to pull from other projects, and instead of digging through all my project bags, you can do a search on your spreadsheet and find exactly where that particular floss is located and go to that project and pull it. So that's why, you know, and I'm such a nerd. I have mine kitted by order that I think I'm going to do it. You know, that's likely to change, but that's how I kit them. So it's really easy for me to, you know, even though I got quite a few kitted up now in baskets, it's easy for me to go and find whatever I want to work on, or whatever I need to pull from that particular piece, for that particular piece. And then I also have one of my folders, or one of these plastic sleeves, I keep all my receipts from the year. So I like to keep those together. But the way I use mine is I went through at the beginning of the year and tried to plan out when I was going to start different things, and I have that penciled in. Oops, and that is, you know, that's just a suggestion. That's why it's in pencil, because I did it in ink last year and ended up changing a lot of things. But I just kind of, this is March, penciled it in, and then when I actually start things, I put it in ink. And I keep track of my goals on this column. And then I've mentioned before, I'm trying to do 22 different designers this year, at least 22 different designers. I'm keeping track of my designers that I'm doing each month here too, and where I am on my goal of having 22 different designers for the month. So as you can see, I've been pretty good about stitching every day. It's not always, I don't record how long I stitch, or how many stitches I do, but it's just good to know what I'm working on every day. So, or that I'm at least doing 1 or 2 pieces every day. So that's really encouraging to me. And then, you know, of course you have to have all the stickers. So yeah, so that is my Book of Days and how I'm using it. I do have to say, I have this for the past couple of years, and this has been my best year about keeping track. It took me a couple of tries to really find out how to do it that works for me, and that's been what's working for me. And then I actually have the Vintage Birds and Caroline Amelia trowel with me. And my goal, if you saw that on my quick flash of my Book of Days, my goal was to finish both of those this month, and that is just not going to happen. But I do want to continue to make progress on those. So I'm going to finish the rabbit piece by Stitchy Princess Black, and then get back to work on Vintage Birds and a Caroline Amelia trowel but my focus will be finishing the retreat piece because I need to have that done and fully finished by May. So that will be my goal for that. Next weekend, actually I can't believe it's here already. Next weekend I'll be attending the retreat at Blue Springs, Missouri, which is put on by Quilter Station. I think it's the Cross Stitch Extravaganza. So I am hoping to get Caroline Amelia trowel to the point where I can work on the house and while I'm on the retreat and just do, you know, straight stitching or fill-in stitching for that. That's going to be kind of a stretch goal because I threw in a couple of other things that I wasn't originally planning to do, but hoping to get that done. So that's probably going to be what I'm going to be working on the next 3 weeks, and I think I'm usually pretty ambitious in what I think I can do, and especially now that the weather's getting nicer, I'm getting back to trying to walk outside every day and I know I'll start to put my annuals in once I get back, so I do want to have time for that too. So stitching's gonna not have as much time to dedicate to it as it has in the past, but we do have kind of an interesting situation at our house. We've been here, this will be our 4th year in our house, so we've done a lot with planting things in the backyard and having to replace things that I just put things in the ground. If it grows, good. If it doesn't, it's like move on and find a plant that will work in that area, or, you know, or in our area in general, can take whatever the situation is that it's placed in. Well, in addition to having to replace some perennials this year, we have a tree we have to replace. Well, we have 3 trees we have to replace. We had 2 older trees that had fungal disease and had to be cut down. We're going to put one in that place. I had an arborvitae that I just didn't water enough, and so I'm going to have to replace that. And then, believe it or not, we had one that was cut down by a beaver. So, you know, you'd think we lived somewhere in a really rural area and we're in a big neighborhood, but we're on a creek with a small reservoir, and apparently the beavers were attracted to a pine tree that we had planted back there, and just within a week just totally decimated it. And my husband went out to see what was going on and it fell over. So we're gonna have to be putting something else there, and our neighborhood is going to come out and try to trap the beaver so he can go somewhere else where, bless his little heart, he can not be tearing down, you know, stuff that people are planting. So that's what's going on here. Let me go ahead and get to the drawing, and I don't have the pieces that I'm drawing for here, but I did the random comment generator, and so Ann Taylor, and I will comment next to Ann's comment, is the winner of the Plum Street pattern that I showed in my previous video. And then Sandra Ware is, and that's W-A-R-E, and again I'll comment on hers. And I shared the words earlier in this video for this week's giveaway. So when you comment, if you're interested in either of those patterns, please leave those words in your comments. One other thing I would be interested in hearing in your comments this week, or this for these next 3 weeks, is if you're familiar with any stitching guilds in your area. I've learned about a few. I'm sure there are just a lot of stitching guilds, but I would like to start gathering the information on that, and so I can work on a spreadsheet for the website for that. We do have a domain name for the website. It will be SABLEstitcher.net, and it's not it's just SABLEstitcher.net. And my husband has a few more things to figure out on setting up the website, but yeah, I'm anxious to get going on that and start posting information about upcoming cross-stitch retreats and guilds so that it's easily accessible to you. You don't have to review videos or keep notes or anything. You can just go to the website and find out what's coming up and how you can register or get involved. So appreciate your time. I really enjoy reading the comments, and if you're going to either of the upcoming cross stitch retreats and you happen to have watched my videos, please let me know who you are so I can put a face with a name. And yeah, I think that's it for now. I hope that if you celebrate Easter, I hope you had a happy Easter, and look forward to seeing you again in 3 weeks. And in the meantime, I hope you have time to stitch every day and create something beautiful. Thanks. Bye-bye.